Tuesday afternoon. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. This is a little special update for you. This isn't a normal time that we do updates, but our plan for today, here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to do our live update now, and the reason why is because I have the latest information in. All of our 12Z model runs are in. I told you this is the sweet spot today where we start to really understand how this storm's going to unfold. Over the last week or so, we were able to tell there's going to be some kind of storm, right? And that's one of the main reasons that we haven't given you any snowfall forecasts yet, because all the people that are out there pushing 20 to 40 inches, which some of the models are saying, and some are still saying, I'll show you that, but they have to look at the models today and say why it's not according to their expectations, okay? So we are going to put some snow totals on it. Finally, today, we'll start talking about that. Snow totals is the sexy part of these storm systems. But I've been saying since the very beginning, and I want to get this message across, that this storm system is not your typical storm system where we're just banking on how much snow we get, okay? The impacts are going to be felt from the things that we've been talking about since last Sunday. The bitter cold with this, the wind is going to be the biggest deal in my mind, which may cause some power outages. You combine power outage with bitter cold and you have some problems, okay? So those two elements alone, outside of how much snow falls, those are the biggest things with this storm system, is the powerhouse wind across the entire Great Lakes and the possibility of power outages with that bitter cold coming in. The other thing I'm concerned about is that temperature drop. Remember, we're going to have moisture on the ground. Everything's going to kind of melt at first, especially pre-treated roads, and then it gets so cold that a lot of that's going to freeze. So we are going to have some black ice potential as well. So coming up in the forecast, I'm going to run our intro here. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about when this happens. We're going to talk snowfall because I know that's what everyone wants to know. How much snow are we going to get from this? But I'm telling you, that's not the most important part of this storm system. And some things have changed in the modeling as well, as expected. And again, that's why we're going to hone in for the very first time over the last week and a half on exactly what we're expecting here, because we've got a pretty good idea as of this afternoon with the latest model run. So we'll run our intro. I'll let some more people join. And as always, we'll answer your questions at the end. And we'll get you on your way here on this Tuesday afternoon on the special edition of Region Weather Live. And welcome in, everybody. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. A lot of you at work right now, so please do not get caught by your boss watching this, okay? A lot of you off for the holiday week. I hope everything's going well. We've had nice weather to get your last-minute shopping done, all that good stuff. As always, this show is free to you. This takes time away from my family. I'm on vacation starting today, but we're still doing radio updates all week. And again, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. And also thanks to our sponsors. They keep the show for free. So just pay them a visit. You know, how you can support me is by supporting our sponsors. Really, really, really. So Ewing Residential Services, they do everything HVAC related. Furnace problems, not the time to have that. They're a local family-owned business. They're wonderful folks at Ewing. So pay them a visit. It's ewingresidentialservices.com. Tiger Plumbing, our favorite plumber in Northwest Indiana. It's tigerplumbing.net. They don't charge trip fees. They come out, analyze the problem. They're awesome. So many of you have raved about them. That's Tiger Plumbing. Discovery Travel, they also sponsor the show. If you want to get out of town, they're a full-service travel agency or a little-service travel agency, depending on what you want them to do for you. Also a family-owned business, which is awesome, from Northwest Indiana. It's discoverytraveltrvl.com. And then finally, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram out of the Valparaiso area on US 30 there. Fantastic family-owned business. They do so much for the community. We love them. We'd love you to support them as well. Okay, let's get to the maps now. Here's what we've got this afternoon. Okay, we have fresh model guidance coming in. If you've been with me long enough, you know that the 12Z model run's the most important. 12Z being Greenwich time. Okay, it just came out about an hour and a half ago. Okay, the 12Z model run's important because it has all fresh data. It takes everything that's occurring right now, which is really the only thing we know in weather, is what's happening right now. It takes all that data from all the sensors all over the world, and it says, given what's happening right now at all these places, what has happened in the past and in the future. Okay, it's got all fresh data that comes into it. So that means, in my mind and from experience, that these are the most accurate model runs that come in the afternoon. All right, the next model run's the 18Z. That comes out later on this afternoon into the evening. All right, that one is not always as accurate because it feeds off of some of the data that's already in the 12Z. It's not all fresh data coming into that. So that being said, if something's wrong with the 12Z, whether it be a storm's off by 10 miles, the 18Z may throw it off by 20 miles, and then we've got problems. The 0Z is the next model run that occurs usually around midnight, maybe a little bit earlier, later, depending on the run. That one has some fresh data, but still relies on the 12Z. And finally, the morning model run that we had this morning, that does the same thing, kind of relies on old information. So that's why I wanted to do this update now. The plan for the rest of the day, we're going to do our live update now. We're not going to do one this evening, but what I am going to do is on regionweather.com, we'll have a comprehensive update. If you like to read things instead, I'll have what's going on with the wind, the snow, all that stuff. That way you can, read if you'd rather do that rather than watching long form video. I get it. Okay. All right. So here's what we've got. Again, if you miss my main message with the storm system, okay, stop worrying about the snow. We have never pushed the snow in this. We've never had our snowfall totals. And I said, we're not going to until today, because today's when we finally get an accurate read of how the system's going to behave. Until then, it's fantasy land. All right. We're going to have a temperature drop with bitter cold air. We're going to have strong winds with this. Those combined with any snow that we get is going to cause some problems. So here's the latest modeling. This is a NamNest. This only takes us up to when the snow begins, but I want to show you how this unfolds, not just for us, but if you've got travel plans the next couple of days, all across the Midwest and Northeast. This is kind of how it comes together. So we've been tracking that Arctic air over the last week out of Siberia, right? They had temperatures minus 50 areas of Siberia. That kind of translated into Alaska over the last day, and it's now entering the lower 48 way out west. That cold air is screaming down to the south. It's an Arctic front. We get maybe one or two of those per year, usually January, February. So this one's a little bit early, but that cold air is coming in fast, and it doesn't have a lot of chance to moderate. Just like, and I've used this analogy, I need to come up with another one, but just like when you push your hand, a lot of you are like, again, you push your hand through bath water, right? And what happens when you're pushing your hand through it? You get the spin up on the north side of it or the top of your hand. All right. Same thing in our atmosphere. Our atmosphere is fluid. It's chaotic. It's always moving. And we're getting this push of Arctic air from the north. All right. And that push is just like a hand. So what happens when this push comes south? It forms a spin, and that is our low pressure that develops. So this low hasn't even developed yet, and we're trying to forecast it, right? But again, we've got a good handle on it today. So here's what we've got. Nothing doing today, nothing doing tonight. Very quiet weather. Wednesday looks good as well, all right? So if you've got last minute plans, whatever it happens to be before Christmas, you've got plenty of time. And tomorrow looks great as well, okay? Tomorrow night is when, or evening is when we're going to start to increase our clouds. You'll notice them thicken up. Our storm system's taking shape as that push comes in. Here's where the push is. These black lines are ice. That indicates strong wind when they're close together, not a lot of wind when they're further apart. You notice how tightly packed they become back in Nebraska. That's the Arctic front, okay? That's the cold air. Once that Arctic front hits, the winds pick up like that, and that's something we're going to experience. So out ahead of it, we've got some moisture. It's meeting up with Gulf of Mexico moisture because we've got a nice south wind out ahead of it. So all the moisture is converging with this front. Still nothing yet Wednesday evening. But Wednesday night into Thursday is when we're going to start to collect some moisture around here. Now, the problem is we're going to dip below freezing temporarily on Thursday morning. And I mean like 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m. All right. As we're throwing some rain on top of that, we may have a brief period of some freezing rain, even some sleet, as that cold air comes up or that warm air comes up and overrides the cold air, because cold air is heavier and dense. It sits. We're getting warm air out of the Gulf. It can't go into the cold air, so it goes up and over. So we get rain that falls because we've got warm air layer up ahead of it or above it, and that rain falls into our cold air mass, cold surface. Could have a little icing Thursday morning. Doesn't look to be a huge problem, but it doesn't take much ice around here to cause problems. Meanwhile, the Arctic front is still back at the Quad Cities area, back towards the Iowa-Illinois border. That's where the cold air is. This is Thursday morning rush hour. Okay. As we go through time, here's your Arctic front. Not a lot of wind with it. This is early Thursday afternoon. If you've joined me the last couple days, the timeline on this has shifted just a couple hours later, all right? We were thinking Thursday morning. It now looks like Thursday midday is when things start to go downhill. Thursday afternoon and evening is when things have gone downhill, okay? So keep that in mind depending on whatever your plans happen to be. So here's our frontal boundary now moving through. We have enough cold air, not just here at the surface, but all the way up at this point where we're able to support snow, okay? I agree with the modeling on this. I think it looks great. Where we're now talking all snow developing. Not particularly heavy in the early afternoon, but we're starting to see some snow Thursday midday, okay? As we go going into the afternoon, here's the Arctic front, and when it arrives in time frame. And what's happening here is we get a really strong push of that Arctic front finally in here. So Thursday afternoon, again, is when it starts to really go downhill. We're going to see winds rapidly increase. They're going to go probably from 5 to 15 mile per hour winds midday, and we're going to suddenly have gusts 30, 40, 50 miles per hour coming out of the north, totally different direction. Temperatures are going to crash at this point. We're probably going to go from the mid 30s all the way down to 0 or close to it in a matter of hours. That's my time frame of concern. Throw out the snow conversation. I don't care how much snow we get. That causes problems, okay? It's an extreme temperature drop. We're going to have wet surfaces from whatever we happen to get during the daytime. And that temperature is going to drop to the fact that, or to the point that salt doesn't work on area roadways. Pre-treatment, it'll probably be done. It may work for a little bit, but we have problems by Thursday night, all right? So we're dealing with that. But on top of that, we've got heavy snow falling, okay? So there's your snow element. So heavy snow Thursday evening with the cold air rushing in, very strong winds coming in as well. That's where we're at come Thursday evening. And that's where the NAM takes us. But you notice the back edge of the snow is far away. So does the snow last that long? Well, let's take a look at that. We'll go beyond that. And we'll go all the way through Christmas here, okay? This is the latest Euro run. All the models seem to agree pretty nicely on the setup for this. Not just with the Euro, but the GFS finally came into alignment with the Euro. The Canadian Model 2, which is the other one we check, looks pretty good. And again, this is all that fresh data that just came in about an hour ago. So this is the latest Euro, and you can see, I'm going to take you through with this one, the 6 hour. That way we can see more of a trend. But you can see there's where the Arctic front arrives. We get the heavy snow. Oh, I went too far. We get the heavy snow Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. The cold air is really gushing into the system by Thursday night. This is early Friday morning. We've still got some snow left with us. At this point, Thursday night still looks rough. At this point, Thursday night, what we're going to do is bring that wind not just out of the north, but a little bit northwesterly as well. With the moisture in place, I would imagine we'll have some lake-enhanced snow in our lakeshore counties. So Lake Porter and LaPorte counties, I think we'll get some decent lake-enhanced snow. So lake-enhanced snow, just as a reminder, is when you have snow already falling from a storm system, aka our low pressure, and what you're doing is adding moisture from Lake Michigan. So it's like lake effect snow, but you can't tell it's caused by the lake. You just get some heavier snow by the lakeshore because of the lake, but it's still snowing everywhere else. It's just a little bit heavier there. So I would imagine we get some of that Thursday night. The wind is still driving. We've still got heavy snow falling, all right? Then things start to wind down, and here's the change in the modeling. This is the reason why I get so much hate mail, because whenever snow totals get lower, even though we haven't talked snow totals yet, and I said don't look at snow totals yet, people don't like it, and they think it's inaccurate forecasting. This low pressure is going to pull out quicker. This is the newest information, right? It's not going to stay and linger. Over the last couple of days, what this low has been doing on the modeling that's brought us some huge, robust snow totals. Remember, it was in the 20 to 40 inch range somewhere in Illinois or Indiana or Michigan, okay? The reason why it brought those totals is because it had, all the models had this low pressure developing, and it went north through us, but it did this little loop-de-loop where it came back down as it wrapped in. So we kept the heavy snow around here through Saturday, and then it pulled out. It did kind of a up, around, and then out. The models now agree that the jet stream is going to take it further off towards the east in this system. So what that does is it takes the low up. It doesn't do that loop-de-loop. It just keeps going, all right? So that shortens our duration of snow. So that's why you've probably seen some of the snow amounts have come down over the recent days, all right? That's the why behind the changes. It's not because we have some kind of thing that, we want to get clicks on everything. I don't care if you click on our website at all. I'm not in this for that, okay? I'm in it to keep it real and to keep you safe and to let you know if something's coming. That's it, all right? I just want to make that very clear, because we get a lot of snarky people out there, and I totally get it. I've been in this business long enough, but I don't play that game, okay? I don't. I don't have something with the grocery stores either, although you should get your bread and milk. Sponsored by, just kidding, we don't have that. But what we've got going on with this is a shorter duration of the snow, so that by Friday, instead of Friday looking nasty all day, it looks like a lot of the snow is going to get out of here, and we just go down to lake effect snow in the afternoon. We're still going to have the wind around, so keep that in mind. That wind is still going to be very strong Friday. With any snow that we have on the ground, I'm expecting it to be a light, fluffy snow. And the reason why is snow is very dependent on temperature. So if the temperature is bone chilling cold like it's going to be, there's not a lot of moisture in that snow. It's not a heavy, wet snow. It's very light and it'll blow around easily. So any snow on the ground Friday combined with the 40, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts that we're going to have, combined with the bitter cold, we're going to have blowing and drifting snow and some visibility issues. Even if we only get 2 inches of snow, there's going to be problems. Now, where the blizzard word comes in, you guys, a blizzard doesn't mean there's snow falling from the sky. Oftentimes up in the Dakotas, like South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, even upper Midwest, Northern Plains, they'll have blizzard warnings and have blizzard conditions without snow falling from the sky. It's the duration of wind of 35 miles per hour or greater and the reduction of visibility under a quarter mile. So that's where the blizzard word's getting thrown in this. Just because there's a blizzard, it doesn't mean there's a foot of snow on the ground. So please keep that in mind. Blizzard conditions are just like a blizzard, and it's when it just gets nasty outside, you can't see, and it's a long duration event. And that's why the blizzard word's getting thrown around with this, okay? Again, it doesn't mean you're going to get 20 plus inches of snow. That has nothing to do with the blizzard. It's the wind and the visibility, okay? So that's where it gets thrown into this. You notice how the lake effect's still going strong. Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, even Lake Superior. So if you have travel plans Friday into Saturday, the lake effect's going to keep going up in Michigan. So up 94 is going to get rough. I think over towards South Bend, they'll still have some snowflakes. And I think we'll still have snowflakes around, but we'll probably see some peaks of sun at this point as we get on into Saturday. Still going to be really, really cold outside. So keep that in mind, and that wind will keep blowing. But the snow looks to be out of here, and it looks to be tapering as we go throughout the day Friday, perhaps lingering in LaPorte County a little bit longer. As we go throughout the day Saturday, you notice the modeling keeps some of the lake snow going out towards LaPorte County. The wind's still there, but starting to ease a little bit. We'll probably have gusts 30 to 40 at this point. This is late Saturday. So still blowing and drifting snow is going to be a problem, especially on north-south roads, okay? I-65 is going to be problematic because all that snow is going to come up and over, right? East-west roads will still have problems, but probably not quite as bad with the blowing and drifting snow. And then here's your Christmas Day. We're still talking lake effect snow, but not so much for Northwest Indiana. It looks like most of it will be up in Michigan, over towards South Bend. Still a little breezy around here on Sunday as well, and still cold. Just looking ahead, because I like to do that. Most of the modeling indicates we get some kind of clipper system in here. Maybe Christmas night into Monday morning could bring us some more light snow. Doesn't look to be too big of a deal, but that'll keep the snow train going. And then just looking beyond that, it does look like we warm up a little bit for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Somewhere in that time frame, we are going to bring in warmer air. So it doesn't look like we're going to keep all of this through the rest of the year. So there's that. All right, couple more things I want to look at for you. Again, guys, I hope this helps. All right, I love the weather. Okay, I've been doing this for 15 years, and it's my absolute passion. My wife gets sick of me talking about the weather. She does. My kids are like, "Daddy, really?" Like I'm teaching them about the sky and stuff like that. So I'm passionate about it. Okay. My whole goal of this with regionweather.com and Region Weather is just to not just explain the weather, but to teach you about the weather and to teach you with the modeling on why things change, why things look different. I'm getting a spam phone call. That's fun. But why things change, why the forecasts change, what the thinking is that goes into us. Whenever we do long range forecasting, all right, if you join me on our Sunday evening Region Weather Lives and we're looking out a week and a half, I call that fantasy land for a reason. Because what we look at in the long range are just model solutions and potential systems, all right? So we saw this potential system a week and a half ago, and we said, oh, there could be a decent storm a week and a half from now, all right? And you can go back and watch the broadcast. Never have we said there's going to be a giant snowstorm. Never have we said there's going to be 20 plus inches of snow, okay? That's other sites. That's other people that are trying to get you to click here, and that's fine. They can do that. But I hope you get that messaging that I'm not in it for that, okay? And that's not the reason why we do this, all right? And a lot of you understand that, but I know there's a select few of you that tend to come out this time of year and tell us how we predict things all year, and you have no idea, okay? So there's that. Sorry, I'm a little snarky mood today. I got some nasty emails today, and it just drives me nuts. So there you go. All right, so here we go. Let's look at wind speed. Let's look at gusts, okay? These are your top winds with this, and I mentioned it's going to be one of the biggest problems with this. Let me go back if my internet's holding up. Okay, so no wind now, no wind tomorrow. Thursday becomes a little breezy. Remember, we're bringing the system in. Here's that line we've been showing out towards the west of the strong gust when that Arctic front comes in, okay? So we go from here's Thursday, midday, early afternoon, 5 to 10 mile per hour winds. What system, right? We'll have some light snow developing. But here's where it goes downhill, where that Arctic front comes in. All of a sudden, we've got 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. And then as this low really gets cranking, this is Thursday night with heavy snow. We've got gusts 40, 45, 56 out over the lake. Wow, it's frictionless, though. Keep that in mind. And then Friday morning, here's where the low really deepens. 40, these have come down a little bit, but we're talking 40. There's a 46 mile per hour gust, 47 Michigan City. So you get the idea. It's going to be really windy around here. And those are your top gusts as we go through time. Saturday, that low continues to deepen. So there's widespread 40 and 50 mile per hour winds. I tend to think Friday night and Saturday, as this low really gets strong, those will be our windiest periods there, Friday night and Saturday. We may not have a lot of snow falling, but we'll have a lot of blowing snow with that. And then Saturday afternoon, this is Saturday afternoon there, you can see gusts start to come down. We're in the 30s range. And then for Christmas Day itself, the wind becomes much lighter. Where are we? Right there. So we're talking 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts on Sunday. So that wind really starts to ramp up Thursday night. I think it'll peak Friday night into Saturday morning, and then it'll start to subside after that. So keep that in mind. The other thing we need to talk about are temperatures. All right. I'm not even going to show the actual air temps. I'm going to show the wind chills because we don't feel the air temp. We feel the wind chill, right? I mean, these numbers are just disgusting for this time of year. So here you go. These are your apparent temperatures, your wind chill values. This is Thursday now. Here comes our Arctic front. Look at these numbers. I mean, this is incredible. It really is. It's cold outside Thursday with the wind, but here comes the really cold air. And we go Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Going to feel more like minus 21. Bitter cold back towards, that's dangerous cold, minus 40. That's no joke. And notice how here's Friday, widespread wind chills in the minus 25 to 35 range. This model might be a little bit cold. It's the Euro model. It does tend to run a couple degrees cold, but still, that's just awful. I mean, when you have 40 mile per hour winds and temperatures near zero, you're going to get that. And so that's what I mean. The system is no slack. I don't care how much snow we get. And then you can see Saturday, we're talking wind chills 25 to 35 below. And then Sunday for Christmas Day, as you're heading out, we're talking minus 15 to minus 25. So really, really cold air. Last thing I'll show you here is the snowfall. I know everyone wants to see that because that is the part of the storm that we care so much about. The modeling, if that's okay. All right. The models are still impressive. I got to be honest. And this is my first day to give you our actual forecast. I think some of these numbers are a little bit high. I still do. This system's going to move in and out pretty quickly. During that time frame, we're going to have heavy snow. Okay. Again, Thursday night, Friday morning, we're going to have snow around, and it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be blinding, and it's going to come down. After that, though, I'm hesitant because this low is pulling out so quickly to say that we're going to add a lot more snow to that. All right, so here's the latest Euro. Okay, this is the hot off the press information. This goes all the way through Christmas Day. So this does include days of lake effect as well. For Northwest Indiana, the Euro has anywhere from 7 to 11 inches of snow. Okay, not a bad snow, right? But it's not the 25, 30 inches that it was shown a couple days ago. It's got the 25, 30 inches up in Michigan. That's with lake effect. I would agree with that. I could certainly see some of those totals coming in. But for us, remember, all this is going to be blowing around. It's going to be a light, fluffy snow. It'll be easy to shovel. Problem is, if you shovel, it'll fill back in real quick. So keep that in mind. All right. That's the Euro. Let's go GFS. GFS, a little bit more impressed with some of the snow in terms of the lake effect. Let's see when it loads here. There we go. So you see some of the lake effect totals up near 30 inches, more lake effect into Northwest Indiana. So the GFS, the American model, totals range anywhere from 6 inches to upwards of a foot in Porter and LaPorte counties. Again, I think this is a little bit too high. I would probably say 6 to 12. I think that would be a good snowfall total for this system, perhaps a little higher out in LaPorte County. All right. I give you that range because there is going to be that kind of range. And it's going to range from down here in Newton County, where we'll probably end up with the lower amounts, to LaPorte County, where we'll have the higher amounts. And that range will go in that direction. Okay. I think we get a quick, probably 3 to 6 with that initial hit of snow that moves through. And again, that's Thursday night into Friday. And then we'll see what happens with lake effect after that. You know, could these numbers go up? They could. Could they come down? I think they're pretty down right now for most of us. The only thing I'd probably tamper back a little bit is in the snow belt of LaPorte County. We'll see what ends up, but I would say a good 6 to 12 incher with this storm. And again, all that is going to be blowing around, so it's going to be tough to measure. You'll have spots in your grass that have maybe 2 inches, and then the rest of it's up against your house or your shed, okay? And then the gem, which, you know, I don't put a lot of stock in, but it's there for us. This says coating of 10 to 12 inches across all Northwest Indiana. And then you go up into Berrien County in Michigan, and it has a 30 on there. So, so there's that. So that's your snow for you. Again, the messaging with this isn't your winter storm where we're predicting whether ice gets in or whether warm air comes in and the snow changes to rain for a little bit. This isn't your typical winter storm where we're predicting snow and where the snow amount matters. And I'm not saying that to be lazy. I'm saying that because the wind, the temp drop, and the bitter cold, those take precedence in my mind with this system rather than the snow. I'm sure our next system that comes through will be purely snow driven, and that's going to be the main factor is how much snow do we get. But that's not this system. It never has been that. This is a very different storm than what we're typically forecasting. And so the impacts are going to be very different as well. And it's going to be that wind and bitter cold. It's going to hit us, okay? And that'll last for a little bit. All right, so that's all I got for you. Again, let's talk questions for you. If you've got questions, I'll try to answer as many as I can. Again, our next update is going to be on regionweather.com tonight. We'll do an extensive update in terms of, I'll block it out and make it nice and organized and easy to read. I'll put in the latest information with the 18Z, but what we're going to talk about is, you know, the snow wind component, bam, here's what to expect. Temperature, bam, timeline, bam, snow, all that stuff. So I'll get it nice and organized for you, okay? All right, Kathy's the first question here. She says, our kids will be driving from Columbus, Ohio to Valpo late Friday, leaving Columbus around 5 early Saturday. Kathy, yes, Saturday would be significantly better. I do ignore the haters. I like the haters. You know, I don't know what they do though. I've never been a hater on website, but I don't want to go into it. But anyway, that's a great question. I think Saturday is significantly better. Let me show you what the map's going to look like on Saturday. Columbus should be done with the snow on Saturday. They're going to get some snow on Friday. A lot of people are actually going to get the snow with the Arctic front on Friday. So here's Friday. You notice how they're getting snow in Columbus. And then by Saturday morning, notice how there's just snow showers from Columbus to Valpo. The roads may still be bad. And again, Kathy, they're going to encounter the wind and the blowing and drifting snow. But Saturday does look a lot better for sure. Let's see. Rebecca says, great job. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate that. Learning a lot from you about how expert. Oh, I love that. Thank you for that feedback. I certainly appreciate that. My goal is to teach. My favorite part of my job is going to schools and teaching the kids about weather. We do a little less of the science talk that I give you guys. We do a little bit more of the dancing and weather songs. I'm not getting into that, but it's a lot of fun. Kelly says, leaving Tennessee, heading home in Northwest Indiana, was planning to leave Thursday early morning. Suggestions. I probably wouldn't, Kelly, because this is going to go downhill even down in Tennessee. So here's Thursday morning. I don't know how long the drive is. Is that a 6-hour drive for you? I guess it depends on where you're coming from in Tennessee, probably Nashville. But anyway, so in terms of travel, if you can get home fast, you'll be good. But you'll have to leave really early. So it's going to be raining down there. You're fine. But that time frame, remember, is early afternoon into mid-afternoon when things start to get gnarly in Northwest Indiana. And then eventually down towards Tennessee, you can see how if you leave, there's some problems. If you can get home early enough, Kelly, like leave, I hate to get you up out of bed early, but the earlier you can leave, the better. I just don't want you to run into that Arctic front once you hit Northwest Indiana, because we know how 65 is during winter storms. Aaron's going back to work. Diane, I appreciate it. Nick, I appreciate it as well. Thank you guys for your comments. Chris, there you go. Thank you, buddy. Tessa, there's never a definite time with weather, but in terms of where everything gets nasty, I think it's going to be afternoon and evening. It's once that Arctic front hits. And again, you'll know it when it hits because the wind will pick up. The temperatures are going to just crash. We're going to go again from mid-30s down to near zero. That's not wind chill, that's air temperature. And again, I think that's Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. Yeah, Becca, same thing for you. That's okay. So everyone's focused on snow totals. Again, please don't focus on snow totals. I'll give them to you. I'll give you what I think. The snow totals range on the modeling anywhere from 8 to, we had some 18-inch totals in LaPorte County. Okay. I think this is going to be a 6 to 12 incher. All right. As it moves through, there's going to be snow and we can't fluff at the snow. All right. The snow's going to be legit from this. It's not going to be huge. You're not going to be buried. It's not the snow component with the system that bothers me. All right. It's the wind. It always has been. And it's the bitter cold air coming in. All right. We don't have to have snow falling from the sky to have a blizzard. I think the snow is something we can handle. I think the wind and the bitter cold and the potential for power outages makes this storm a major storm and a lot more difficult for us. Okay. Steve, that's interesting. If I were a school superintendent with a storm timing, kids e-learning on Thursday. Oh, that's tough, Steve. I think they would get probably half a day in and be okay, but we don't want to risk that. And there's going to be a lot of parents in the morning that would probably be upset if you did e-learning, just because the storm won't be here yet. We'll have some snow starting, but it really doesn't kick up till afternoon and evening. That's a tough call. I don't know how you feel about if I were a superintendent, how I would feel about half days. I feel like sometimes that's more problematic for parents because they have to go pick up their kid in the middle of the day. Maybe they're working, trying to get stuff done. I don't know. But I worry about that, Steve. I worry about that afternoon and evening. Once it starts to go downhill, you don't want the buses out, obviously. You want everyone home safely. So that's a tough call. And I am not a superintendent. So thank you very much. That's awesome. Kimberly has a nice comment. Listen, the weatherman can barely predict tomorrow, let alone 2 to 3 days out. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm going to leave it there. Shirley, you're welcome. Let's see. Susan says, when will the deadly wind chill start and end? I mean, it is. Again, I didn't use that word, but the wind chill comes in right when that Arctic front hits, Susan. So we're talking by Thursday evening, we are in the bitter, dangerous cold. And that continues all the way really through Christmas. All right. No, Maxwell, I think this will be upgraded to a winter storm warning. I do. I think we'll meet the criteria of 6+ inches. We'll see. Again, I think the messaging from the Weather Service, and I actually have a call with the Weather Service right now. It just started at 3:30. I'll get the cliff notes from that. But I think the messaging from this is still a very impactful storm. I mean, even if we end up below the criteria for that, and I think for that reason, they wouldn't do an advisory because people kind of fluff at an advisory. Whereas if we have a winter storm warning, people know there's going to be a winter storm coming in. So I think the messaging with that, I would imagine they keep it a winter storm warning. And who knows? I mean, they may upgrade some of this to a blizzard warning. Again, it's not the snow falling from the sky. It's elsewhere. Cindy asked a good question. Tom, I see Tom. People have sufficiently panicked. Yeah, that's great. All right, Cindy Smith asks, do you think flights will be able to come in from Midway on Friday afternoon? I think so, Cindy. Yeah, they should get the runways nice and organized, I hope. It'll still be really windy. That would be my only concern. I don't think it's the snow Friday afternoon that would keep flights coming from in. I think it would be the wind, especially because the wind, I think, picks up Friday afternoon and Friday night and Saturday morning. I think that's where we get the strongest wind because this low will be the strongest. We won't have all the heavy snow falling, but we're going to have some serious wind with that, and that is tough to land in. I'm not a pilot, but I would imagine that's tough to land in. Let's see. Adrian has a birthday party for her son planned in the afternoon of Christmas Eve. Everyone attending is local. Okay. In the afternoon of Christmas Eve. No, I don't think so. Adrian, it's going to be really, really cold. But hopefully INDOT can get the roads cleared up by then. I don't see a lot of snow falling by Saturday afternoon. We're still going to have some lake effect. We'll probably have snow showers. I would say it'd be heaviest out in LaPorte County and then out towards Michigan. So, my best guess for you would be I would keep it. I really would as of right now. And I don't like to make decisions like that for you, but I think we'd be okay by then. It's going to be messy outside. Don't get me wrong. And the wind and blowing and drifting snow is still going to be bad. But in terms of worst conditions, it's not going to be Saturday afternoon for Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve services, while it's going to be tricky getting there, I think we can go ahead and do them. All right. Kathy says, young adult daughter driving from Madison, Wisconsin to Munster. Would you recommend Saturday afternoon or might Friday afternoon work? I think Friday afternoon would work, Kathy. In terms of Friday afternoon up in Wisconsin, yeah, you see most of it's out of there. And Kathy, I would probably plan for her to arrive a good 3 or 4 hours early because this wind is going to blow her directly home. Seriously, she's going to use very little gas to get there. So just have her be safe. Obviously, I hope she's a good winter weather driver because she is going to encounter some conditions, but the snow falling shouldn't be too bad at that point. All right. Chad, probably, yeah. That's the wind with the snow. He's asking, should we snow blow after the storm and the wind chill? Bundle up first of all, but the snow, you're going to snow blow and then it's going to blow back in. We're going to have a lot of drifting from this, even if we get a couple inches of snow. So there you go. Jill, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see. A lot of you have great comments for sure. John Jones asks, will roads be open Friday in Canton, Ohio? Do you think? And worried about my employees that work outside at Walmart. John, happy to help. In terms of roads on Friday, I I think they'll be open. It's going to be pretty tricky. So over in Canton, here you go. So here on Friday, that's when the change arrives in Ohio. There doesn't look to be too long of a period of the heaviest snow. I think most of it shifts up towards the lakefront, but it's still going to be windy. There's going to be snow falling. There won't be as much on the ground there. I mean, we're probably looking at, my guess would be a 6 to 8 incher for you in Canton. Um, let's look real quick and see what these in terms of how much snow for Canton. It's just going to be pretty nasty outside. It really is. Yeah, so it's got close to 7 inches. It's got a 10-inch total just north of you near the Akron area. So that's tough. It is going to be tricky travel around. It says locally tomorrow. They should have a good idea on exactly what's going to happen down in Canton tomorrow, based on how things evolve out in the plains with this push of cold air. Indiana, Illinois, we can forecast pretty accurately today, but in Ohio, I would say tomorrow is going to give us our best read because you're about half of a day behind in terms of the modeling. Okay. All right. I see some funny comments. You guys are good. Love Johnny. I think the North Georgia mountains are still going to get some. So there's that. It's going to be tough to get it all the way down there. The big thing with Georgia is that it's just tough. You have moisture, right? But the cold air always arrives after the moisture leaves. So I think that's going to be the case again. Okay. All right. Snipes, I favor the Euro the most, and that's again evident with this storm system because the Euro had this solution a week ago. The GFS had an East Coast storm, a Southern Coast storm, and the GFS has slowly caught up with this. The change in the modeling today, by today, I mean like just over the last couple hours, has been the fact that this low doesn't linger. It doesn't come up and then kind of do another loop-de-loop. It just goes up and heads out. So some of these snow totals are lower than what they've been the last couple days. But I really don't think that this is a snow issue. I mean, we're going to have snow, but the wind and the cold and the temperature drop to me are going to be more problematic than anything else. Angie, that's probably a good idea. I listen to all you guys and find a happy medium. I appreciate that. That's very nice. We do that too. I mean, there's something called the National Blend of Models, which takes all the models, the Euro, the GFS, the Canadian, the NAM, all that stuff, and it blends them all together, weighted on which one's been the most accurate recently. So just like you may do that, listen to all the meteorologists, take the happy medium. I think that's a good way to do it because we all have our different opinions. We all forecast different. Again, people get mad at me because I don't give snow totals early. Today's the first time we gave a snow prediction. And again, I think this is a 6 to 12 incher for Northwest Indiana. And some people will give the snow total in advance, thinking that they understand the storm system. And sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. And I'm not always right either, but I err on the side of caution in terms of forecasting, right? I want to make sure any information I'm putting out is accurate. It means a lot to me. And if I'm wrong, which I am sometimes because we're trying to predict the future, atmosphere is chaotic. I just can't believe we can even predict it to begin with. But if I'm wrong, I go back and check my work. I think that's so important for meteorologists to do, is to notice why you're wrong, right? Just like I did today with why have the models come down on the snowfall totals? I don't just look at it and say, oh, they've come down and accept it. I go back and look for the why in that. So I hope everyone does that with their work, right? You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Edouard, in Charlotte, I think you might have some leftover flurries. I don't see a big snow from you as we turn to the national scale here on our YouTube channel. But here's Charlotte, right? Well, you can't see where my finger's pointing. Charlotte, right down in here, you'll have rain, and then that cold air gets there. You might have some flurries at the end, but doesn't look like much for you. You're definitely going to get the snow, okay? So there's that. Or not snow, the cold. The snow will be north. You'll definitely have the cold and the wind, all right? So there you go. Okay, we're getting spammed on our YouTube channel. That's fantastic. All right, guys, I got to let you go. I'm going to hop on the National Weather Service call, but this is our update. Again, I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope you understand exactly, what we can expect, why things have changed, so to speak. My job for you is to go watch your other sources, whoever those happen to be, whether they be online folks or the news TV folks. And I want you to take notes. The ones that have said 20 to 40 inches, I want you to watch them squirm. Okay. And I'm not throwing any colleagues under the bus because I don't know of anyone that's done that. But if you were told 20 to 40 inches by someone, and I've got this YouTube channel that drives me nuts because they have these big things, Bombogenesis, big storm, major winter storm, and they ruin it for all of us. I want to see what this kid has to say in terms of explaining why snow totals have gone down, if he can even explain it. All right. Because it's a select few that ruin it for a lot of us. And so that's that. Okay. So your job is to go watch them squirm this afternoon and evening when they give the forecast. Okay. Or maybe they'll blow over it like they never said that, but sometimes it happens. Anyway, I appreciate all of you very much. Again, you can catch us on our radio stations around Northwest Indiana, X-Rock 103.9, Indiana 105.5, and Z 107.1. We have updates every day. And in the morning, we will do a little talk back as well. So you can catch us on there. And then later on tonight, we'll have an update for you with some of the latest information. If things change, they might a little bit, but that'll be on regionweather.com. All right. Thank you guys for your support. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.